Welcome to Tranquilly Coding. This is our 10th video of the series of creating a country code picker using Jetpack Compose. So today in this video, we're going to create some utils and some helpers to help us make this library better. We're going to create a method that will automatically get the country from the user's device, and some other methods like a number formatter that will make your text field look more beautiful. And we'll be adding a number validator for checking if the number is correct or not. Some features like that. So first I want to organize the things a little bit. Want to rename it CCP components, CCP customization, and this one going to be CCP utils. Okay, so inside the utils we're going to make this a companion object. So when we're using from outside this library, I want to keep it consistent, so I guess we're all set with the naming and stuff. So inside the utils, let's first get down with the utils for getting the country automatically. So here we're going to create a method that will go through like several different methods to get us the country code that we need. We try the network ISO first. So this is our function to return the country ISO. First let's put a Java comment so we know what we are doing. And this one, so what it does, in first we take the context as the parameter, and using the context we get the telephony manager from the system services. So we will use the telephony manager and try to return the network ISO or the SIM country ISO if this one failed. And if this one failed, we will try to get the locals and get country. The get 0 country is the first country that is available on the device. If any of this doesn't work, it will return null. All of these are nullable in their own way. This function could give us the country or it may fail. So we want it to be this way so that we can pass a default country if this fails in any cases. So now how do we use this? So let's go to our country code picker wherever we used it. For example, this one. So this one doesn't have that method set. We pass a direct a country, the country United States. So we're going to use the function that we just created. So in here we're going to first create a variable that will get us the country ISO. CCP-utils.get country ISO. So we'll just pass the local context. So now this ISO is a nullable type. We need to find the country associated with the ISO if there is a country available and if the ISO is not null. So in our country data, the country list, we don't have that option to directly get using the ISO. So what we can do is create a method that will return us the country when we have the exact ISO matching. In here, this method get country by ISO, we will pass the ISO string, and if the country ISO matches, it will return that, and if it doesn't, it will return a null variable. So we have our country get by ISO, and it uses a string that is not nullable, so we're going to pass only if it is not nullable. First is get a variable that is a mutable state of country, that our country here, the enum class, and first we need to pass a default country. So you can pass any country. I pass Argentina for an example. Now we will use the local inspection mode. So what it does, so inspectable mode composition local, true if the composition is composed inside a inspectable component. So what that means and why we are using this. So this detects if we are inside a preview, like this preview composable. So why we need this, I will get to later, a little bit later. But before that, I change this method a little bit and make the ISO to uppercase, because I check with the logcat the ISO we are getting from this utils, the country ISO, this one, it returns the ISO in lowercase, but in our case we use the ISO as uppercase letter. So I change it to uppercase so that we can match the country. So what we are doing here, let's forget about this part. Okay, so first using the CCP utils, we get the user country ISO. So it's using the telephony manager to get network ISO or SIM country or local country, any of these three. So whichever works, we will get the result. So if it is not null, so we are using only the not null part of this. That's why we're using this let function. So the function proceeds if only we can get the ISO from this method. After that, we run another function, that is get country by ISO. So this one will pass the ISO, and from the entries it will check if any of the country matches the ISO that we provided. And if it is not null, because it is also nullable, it can return a null if there is no country, then we will use that country, that variable that we return from this country by ISO, and the not null part we will pass to this country. We get the ISO, and if the ISO is not null, we pass it through the country by ISO, and if the country by ISO is not null, we will add this ISO country to the country. But the problem is, if we use this code only without using that part, we get a render issue. So no matter how hard I try, no matter whatever I do, we won't be getting any rendering here. So if I change the country, for example like United States, so there is no country, we cannot get United States in the preview. So why is that? So the problem is when it's come to Jetpack Compose preview, it actually doesn't provide all the runtime things that we need. So we are using local context.current to get the country ISO using telephony manager and telephony services. So in preview, this doesn't work properly. So when we pass this method, it is though checking all the nullable things. So this variable won't be null because we declared it as a not nullable variable. Still, it will not able to render the preview because it doesn't have this context in the preview UI. That's where local inspection mode.current comes. So what it does is it ensures that we are not calling these methods inside our preview. So local inspection mode.current means we are inside a preview where we can inspect the layout or something like that. So if it is not current, that means it is a real device or an emulator somewhere we are running the whole app, where we don't have the local context.current limitation that we have on the preview. So if it is not in the preview mode, then this code runs and it will return us the country that we need. So by default the emulator has the country set as US. So let's run the app and see if it works properly. But before that, we're going to change this country to Argentina, for example. So now we run it and we check. As you can see, the country is changed to US. Now let's add some log and see. Now I have added 3 logs. Let's run and see. As you can see, our default country was Argentina, as here. Like if these things goes wrong, we have a default country that will be Argentina. Now in our 3 logs, we first get the country ISO, and using the country ISO that is US, we pass it through this method and we get the United States. That is our country that is showing in here. So in our case, it's working properly. So the method is able to detect the user's country automatically. So when you are using this library, you can call this function and that will return you the user's country automatically without much of a hassle, or you don't need to create this code, it is automatically here. So this is a little bit bigger, but I believe we can reduce it a little bit. Let's refactor this method and let's change it to get country automatically, something like that. And in here we can actually change this method to support both of our operation. And how is that? So let's not return it directly in here. String, we are going to return the country, and we are going to do the rest of the stuff that we did here with it. So ISO, so we simplified our uses to this country object. So first we use the telephony manager and get the country ISO using telephony manager. If the ISO is not null, we run it through the get country by ISO, and if it returns a correct country, then it returns the country, and if anything goes wrong, we return null. Now in the main activity, we can reduce everything and just keep this part where we make it like this. So now it is little more compact. So we get the country, and if the country is not null, we set it to our country variable over here. So that's it for the first part where we detect the country automatically. Now let's create our phone number validator. To verify the phone number, we're going to need an API, and this is the API library phone number. So this one is the Android port of Google Live phone number. There is several ports of this phone number library for different cases like C#, blah 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 blah. So this is the Android port created by Michael Rocks. So we're going to use it. So we take a CCP validator that will validate our phone number using the phone number util, and I created a phone number transformation. This is inspired from a Medium post posted by a developer named Julian Salvi on Google Developer Expert. So he created a class that is called phone number visual transformation, and if you apply it to the text field, it will validate your phone number in this style or in this manner. We can use this transformation, the visual transformation. As you can see, I already have this transformation inside, and we can add it to the visual transformation, and that will transform our UI to a more readable one. And the second one is the validator. So we added the validator as CCP validator with context, and later we check if his number is valid by using this boolean value, passing the number and the country code. And when the value changes, we pass the number. When the country code is changed, we again pass the number and country code to validate. And finally, in isError, we added the phone number validation, and also it checks whether the text is not empty. So with that said, we can check it how this thing works in our app. So let's type in a phone number. So this is a wrong phone number, but if I reduce one digit, this becomes a proper phone number, but it is not validated because that was not the proper structure. So this one is the proper structure. So something like that. Right now we can see the detection is working automatically, country detection that we created in our utils, and it's working. We applied to the first one, this one. It is showing the United States as the emulator has US as the country, and then we use the country code validator that is showing the phone number is validated. If we remove one digit from there or add an extra, the validation won't work and it is showing red. But if we add the digit back, it's showing a valid phone number. And then we add a phone number visual transformation, and this reformats the phone number and show it in this manner. We are using the phone number util as well in here. So this one is using in both cases, the phone number validator in here and the visual transformer. In both cases we are using this. Let's rename the transformation a little bit, CCP transformer, so that will like make all of this look the same. Okay, so now that I have been working with these customizations, these utils, it made me a little concerned about working with all of this. As I was creating these utils for this library, it made me a little concerned about the usability and complexity of this whole concept. Like the country code picker, we can easily use this with this code and it will show perfectly in any places that we want. Like we can remove this modifier and in here clip to full to false, and that will reduce size. So all of this customization is pretty easy, but when it comes to like getting the country automatically, it needs this line of code. When we need this country validation and transformation, we need to add this for the transformation. For the validation, we need to check it on value changes, then on country selected change. So all of this actually making it a little bit complex when we add these customizations. So I am thinking about creating a text field like this. It wasn't on my initial plan. As you remember this library that I mentioned at first, that this one actually binds you to use the text input field, but I actually didn't want that to be like that. I want it to be more flexible in different use cases. So right now we have the flexibility. We have our country code picker that can be used without using any text field. It can be used in anywhere. We have our bottom sheet that is independent of the country code picker. It doesn't actually show the UI in here, but you can see it right here. So it can be passed with a modifier, A1 dismiss request, item clicked, text style, country list, customization, etc. So it doesn't need the main picker view, and we have the dialog which actually doesn't need the picker view. So we have three separate components. One is the picker view, another is the bottom sheet, another one is the dialog. So now I am thinking about creating the fourth component that will be a country code picker text field. So that will be similar to this text field with some little tweaks maybe, or maybe like this, but that will allow us to use 4 different components from the same library. We can have it as a text field, we can have it as a just a view, or we can use a dialog or a bottom sheet. So on that way we stay on our track to keep all of this separated, and also we make it more usable so that when we need something to be used on a text field like this, we don't need to put down all of these together. So all of this can be simply omitted if we create a text input field and add this by default on this text input field, so that you can just pass the any value that you need for the text input. For example, like the modifier or maybe the text style, the label, leading icon is already set, the trailing icon possibly, or any keyboard action or something like that. So the goal is to make it more usable in all of the different situations. Right now we have that flexibility. If we create the text input field, I believe it will give us like the last piece of the puzzle. In the next video, I will create the last item, and that will be the last item. We can hopefully finish it in the next 2 or 3 videos. So in the next video, I'll be creating a country code picker text field, and then we are going to publish it, test it, and create documentation for it to look good on GitHub. So this is for today. It has been a very long video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching Tranquilly Coding. Have a good day.